great fight for boxing. I think it's a little early, bless him, for Tyson, but, you know, I understand his reasoning, and it's shrewd business, you know. I suppose if Tyson Fury gets beat by Deontay Wilder, he could probably still come back and fight Anthony Joshua, whereas if it was the other way round, he couldn't. So that's 2 for the price of 1. Yeah. Very good. I look forward to it. I think Deontay Wilder's a big favourite.
Well, stay on the line if you would, because Frank Warren joins us. Frank, so all the...
People have been in my DMs all day about this. So you have something so beautiful, so elegant, so like acquired. It's an acquired taste for you to really, really enjoy what this is right here. You got the father of matchroom boxing, the genesis, Barry Hearn, the father. Right there, of Eddie Hearn, right? Some say that he's the one pulling the strings, you know, the Dick Cheney to the George Bush. You know, that Barry's the one that's pulling the strings still. But his son has the keys. You got Frank Warren, ain't going nowhere. The resurgence. Of course, he won't say, you know, and people around him won't say, you know, well, yeah, Frank Warren's going to come back. They'll say, no, he ain't never go nowhere. But, you know, it was a little rough for him. But now, shit is lit. BT Sport, Sky Sports. Let's just listen into this gem here, and we're going to dissect and decipher all of this. 7:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, September the 25th, Tuesday, 2018. This is probably my 10th video for the day. It's been so busy. Please subscribe.
Signed, it's definitely happening December the 1st, yeah?
It is, and there'll be Deontay and his team will be in London Monday week, and we'll be starting the first leg of the press tour, which are taking New York, LA, and there's one other city which hasn't been decided yet.
Yeah. If Wilder lost as the champion, is there a rematch clause in the contract for him to fight Fury again before any other contest?
I can't give you the details of the contract.
Why not?
Because I just told you. But the situation is very clear. The winner of that fight, and Anthony Joshua, is a big fight, and nothing will stand in the way of that happening. I believe that Tyson Fury will be the winner. As Barry just said, that's a big fight. So why on earth would anybody want to stand in its way?
No, all I was merely thinking that if Fury won and Wilder as the champion lost, Wilder, you know, if I was his manager, I'd say have a rematch contract in there. And so that might scupper an immediate fight with Joshua, if you see the point I'm making.
No, I absolutely do see the point. But I think everybody's sensible enough to make sure that the big fights happen. And there are ways to make things happen. So I don't believe that anything will stop that fight from happening. The only people who could stop it from happening is Anthony Joshua's people.
So, Barry Hearn, you say?
Well, with all respect, total rubbish. Number one, there's got to be a rematch clause, obviously, because there's no way Deontay Wilder is going to risk his WBC title without a rematch clause, unless his management has changed, because his management are actually quite sensible. So, look, there's no rush. I mean, I think Frank would agree that you know, you don't rush anything in boxing. We've got a fighter here who's 22 fights, the world number one heavyweight. There's no rush whether he fights Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury later on. Yeah, I mean, we're not going away from this world. In an ideal world, we have a plan. If the ideal world doesn't work out, we have another plan and we run a proper business at proper time. But I know Anthony has made his shopping list of who he would prefer to fight next, and that is Deontay Wilder.
Let's stop right there. That's the father, right? Remember, the guy who I feel and, you know, who people feel is pulling the strings behind Eddie Hearn, right? He's the father, of course. You know, he's the consigliere. So this is going to more so fuel the narrative of who's ducking who. Listen, these guys got to fight each other. They got to. It's going to happen. They just can't lose. I don't want to go into all the bullshit that we hear every single day. It's always something. Well, Shelly Fink will release some new news saying he's going to open up motherfucking negotiations. Then it'd be like, well, Wilder just might release him. He ain't been fighting bums, mate. What happened with the signed contract back and forth, back? Aren't you tired of it? All this. You're tired of it? Don't get me wrong. My job is to report the news, but I'm not going to be doing this shit every day. I'm sorry. But however, this was hilarious, especially when we get to the end of it. But let me say this. Listen. I understand that Americans, when it comes to Anthony Joshua coverage on YouTube, we get a bad rap. But not all of us. That man's not perfect. Wilder's not perfect. But we know for sure that that's the fight that we want to see, right? I'm not going to sit here and motherfucker be fucking talking blame and shit and all. Listen, regardless, we're going to see the fight. Because they're going to have to fight each other. Right now, I understand that Deontay Wilder is the B-side. He is. But if Joshua really, really, really wants to fight so bad, the money's going to be there, but it's not going to be such a big deal. Well, if you don't take this 30% in this, remember, all the way down to Mayweather versus Pacquiao, Canelo versus Golovkin too, they came to an agreement over money. They said, listen, we're not trying to hear none of this shit no more. 60-40 or some shit, that's it. But of course, you know, the way politics are in boxing and, you know, each side trying to juice each other. And also, don't think that these sides aren't talking behind the scenes. They're just like throwing little jabs at each other in the media. Al Heyman is not stupid. Shelly Finkel is not stupid. Unless there's some inner turmoil inside there, they have a plan. For example, they can do, let's say, for example, if Wilder does beat Tyson Fury. If Wilder does beat Tyson Fury. Also, understand that I've been a big Tyson Fury supporter, a fan before I started covering boxing on YouTube. So when you hear me talking about Wilder in these videos, it's because I'm going to be talking about Tyson Fury really, 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 really soon. So doing videos on YouTube, you have to, for one, try to approach each video like it's your first. But also, remember, this is one of the many videos I'm going to do in a series, literally, of Wilder versus Fury, Joshua versus Wilder videos, and whoever they fight building up. So one video I may be praising Joshua. Other video I may be talking about his faults. Another video I may be praising Wilder. Another video talking about his faults. Maybe 2 videos talking about his faults. Same thing with all boxers. So, moving on. This is why I'm sitting here running my mouth, man. Let's finish listening to this.
But it doesn't mean to say the deal can be done, because you don't just go into any meeting and say, I want to fight you, I'll agree any terms. Anthony's planning a 6, 7, 8-year career. It doesn't end on April the 13th. It's just another day of a journey of Anthony Joshua's career.
Frank.
Well, that tells you all you need to know. They don't want to fight. If they wanted to fight Wilder, they would have fought him yesterday. That's what would have happened. They didn't want to fight him. It's simple as that. They turned down a $50 million offer, and that's why we're making the fight. The facts of the matter are the public want the fight, Sam. They want the winners to fight, want to see who's the best. Yeah, and I respect what Barry says, because he's an accountant. That's his mentality. What does he want to kill the golden goose for? The public want to see the best fighting the best. And the 3 best heavyweights out there are Anthony Joshua, Wilder, and Tyson Fury. So the bottom line is 2 of them are fighting. The lineal champions fighting the WBC champion, both undefeated. The winner of that should fight Anthony Joshua next April. Why shouldn't that happen?
Barry.
Great.
He just won like 2 straight rounds. And the fact that Frank got punching power, that shit's pretty accurate too. Let's hear what Barry has to say. Let's run it back a little bit.
And Tyson Fury. So the bottom line is 2 of them are fighting. The lineal champions fighting the WBC champion, both undefeated. The winner of that should fight Anthony Joshua next April. Why shouldn't that happen?
Barry.
Drop the mic.
It's great if it happens. We want to fight Wilder. We've sent Wilder a signed contract to fight on April the 13th already.
You'll be fighting Tyson Fury.
Yeah, but he's fight. No, we will agree a term with Deontay Wilder to fight on April the 13th if he beats Tyson Fury. If he doesn't beat Tyson Fury, I believe we've got to look around because we've got a business to run. We want to deliver the fights people want. That's why we do the biggest shows in the world.
The public don't want to see.
See, Barry just throwing jabs. He just throwing jabs. Don't get me wrong; it's nice and smooth. Look like he's the ring general, but then you got Frank coming in with the power shots. Awkward angles. No. It's not awkward angles. Pretty straightforward. It's just aggressive.
See Joshua against Tyson Fury.
Because we've got a business to run. We want to deliver the fights people want. That's why we do the biggest shows in the world.
The public don't want to see Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury will not be in a position, in my view, Frank.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's just cut through.
If he is, I'd love to see it.
Well, let me tell you, that's my problem to sort out. But let's assume that he is in that position. Is the fight going to happen? Is the fight going to happen?
Yeah, I can't do that because I can't assume that you're telling me the truth. I don't believe he is going to be in a position to do that.
That's not what I asked. Whether you're saying whether you believe it or not, what I'm saying to you, if he's in that position.
There's no question. If Tyson in a world
then
where... Then
that's up to me to deliver that, isn't it? So I'm pleased to hear that you have stated publicly, if he's in the position, we'll make the fight. That's all we want to know.
Yeah, of course. And it's like everything else, Frank, as you know, it's subject to terms.
Well, it shouldn't be a problem, should it? The lineal champion, who's now the WBC. The lineal champion is the WBC.
We're not on Radio 5, and this is very poor form to be negotiating in the public arena.
It's getting the truth
I don't do that, and Radio 5 should know better. But we will agree to...
You'll stop it. It's getting the truth.
If you notice, Barry now is complaining to the ref, blaming the ref. Like, yo, he hitting low. Like, what the fuck? Like, watch this. Listen, he started blaming the ref. Channel 5. It's like, yo, you agreed to the interview. He quiet. The ref is just like in
The lineal champion is the WBC.
We're not on Radio 5, and this is very poor form to be negotiating in the public arena.
It's getting the truth
I don't do that, and Radio 5 should know better. But we will agree to...
You'll stop it. It's getting the truth out in front of the public. So the public understand why fights don't happen.
Gentlemen, let me as the referee just step in here, and what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm just going to be the referee here.
On national radio to try and agree terms for a commercial fight. You should know better, and Radio 5 should be ashamed of themselves.
Hang on one second, Barry.
Hang on. He has nothing else to pull.
Hang on one second, Barry. We did ask you whether you would talk to Frank Warren, so don't say Radio 5 should be... So, Barry, would you just bear with us for 1 second? I'm going to let you have your say. Can you just tell us, in a nutshell, what you see the situation as, Barry, please?
Wilder or Tyson Fury, subject to terms on April the 13th, without a problem in the world.
Okay, and Frank, let's get a little response from you.
I'm absolutely delighted that Barry's just said. So there you go, people who are listening. The winner will fight Anthony Joshua. You heard it from the chairman.
Subject to terms, because you will ask for a ridiculous amount of money and it won't be made. But let's try to talk about it anyway.
It'll be very simple. It's a 50-50 deal.
Very simple. Not a 50-50 split against the number one heavyweight in the world. You can forget that completely.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming on. I'm only sorry we couldn't have done a pay-per-listen deal for Five Live there. Barry, thank you very much for coming on the programme.
Good. It won't be happening again. Thank you.
Okay, Frank, thank you very much as well.
Well,
you know, boxing is funny as shit. Who won? Frank. Frank won on the cards. Activity, aggression. You know, and then also, you know, the judges see when you like complaining to the ref and all that. You know, Channel 5 was just on, you know, I didn't see them, you know, over injecting too much or anything. But, I mean, what was really expected? Honestly, if you really, really think about it, let me think of an American type situation. Imagine, right, if you get Bob Arum and Steven Espinoza on ESPN or some shit like that, right? Or better yet, Arum and Oscar De La Hoya. You know, talking about what did they expect? I mean, I expected for shit to get, you know, a little tense. But nonetheless, listen, Anthony Joshua is the A side. I understand, you know, Hearn and, you know, the Hearn, you know, father-son, you know, in Anthony Joshua's position where they got a plan. For example, I talked about in a previous video. They got mandatories coming up that nobody's talking about. They got a WBO mandatory that could be ordered or an eliminator. They got an IBF mandatory coming up between the winner of Kubrat Pulev versus Huey Fury. That winner could be 4-13-19 Wembley. Very, 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 very possible. The fans are not calling for Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has gotten so much better. You know, like before, I was wondering about him. You know, outside of conditioning, Dillian Whyte's the motherfucking man. He's likely going to be fighting Derek Chisora. They are building up Usyk, who's going to be fighting Tony Bellew, but Usyk wants to have a fight, maybe two, when he moves up to heavyweight after he beats Tony Bellew. No disrespect to Tony Bellew. But they got to do what they got to do to make that fight. Also, you know, it's very possible that there could be a two-way rematch clause. We talked about this over a month ago. I forgot where I heard it at originally. This was actually over 2 months ago when they were first negotiating a deal. That there could be a two-way rematch clause for even if Tyson Fury loses, he still gets to fight Deontay Wilder again. Then imagine whoever goes on to fight Joseph Parker, you know, or Dillian Whyte. They like the Wilder side has options. If Anthony Joshua wants to go another route, but think about this, the fight's still going to get bigger. But the thing is, what if one of them loses? Then we're going to be pissed off. So imagine, right, to give the benefit of the doubt, and I understand a lot of people don't believe in Deontay Wilder. I can tell you the story of how he was supposed to fight Povetkin, failed drug test, that Worcester guy failed drug test. You know how he got injured and the timeline with the WBC. I can talk about all of that. I can talk about it, but understand now they know it's serious business. Luis Ortiz, right? And if you understand the Al Heyman model of fighters who get to where Deontay Wilder is now at of fighting on his first pay-per-view, they're going to stack the shit out of that card, by the way. Also, we're going to be covering the press tour. Every leg. They're saying it's going to be 4 cities now. He said during this call, correct? He said they're going to do London, New York. I'm going to be at the New York, L.A. You know, we're going to be covering that. And then somewhere else. I was trying to think. I mean, not Vegas, right? Alabama? They could do it in Wilder's play, but whatever. Moving on. Wilder could fight, right? Fury. If he beats him. Now, don't get me wrong. We're going to talk about Fury later in another video. He can fight Fury if he beats him. He can fight Joseph Parker. He can fight Dillian Whyte. Right? And I'm talking about fighters that aren't available, that Joshua aren't available or would be available if Joshua didn't fight him or he's already fought him. So already you got about 1.5 years worth of fights right there. Depending on Luis Ortiz, what he does, this part of his time is very, very crucial because they can do a rematch of that, not soon, but build it up a little bit more. There are options for both of these guys to prolong this shit until 2020. Unfortunately. And we've seen that Joshua can fight just about anybody. But we can't afford for these guys to get knocked out. Because then, you know, whoever loses is not going to be forgiven. Because it's going to be like, look, like even if their side was right or whatever, they're going to be like, look, it's your fault. It's your fault. You got knocked out. You're the reason why it's not happening now. Whatever. Even if it wasn't your fault before, it's your fault now because you got knocked out. We'll see though. We're supposed to get official details on everything this week. It's 8:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, September the 25th, 2018. Remember, there's no official venue yet. They're still trying to get Vegas, Mandalay Bay, maybe the Thomas and Mack Center. Man, I don't know. I think they're really, really shooting for Mandalay Bay. And if not, it's going to end up in the Staples Center. Not a bad thing. We're still hearing about the undercard. Somebody been posting that Errol Spence posted on his Snapchat that he's going to be fighting on that card. Mikey Garcia has gotten an extension from the IBF today to October the 12th, what he's going to do with that IBF 135-pound title. It's looking like Spence versus Garcia could end up on Wilder versus Fury, or more reasonable to think is that they're not going to fight next, but they're going to fight, in build-up fights first, and then fight sometime, mid next year. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.